Now this right here is my CS2 investing spreadsheet, and in the past 4 months I've made over $15,000 from CS2 investing. Today we're going to be breaking down everything about that and what exactly I'm doing to stay ahead of the game. Now breaking down the market, it's very important to realize a lot of things about this time. Specifically, the market has gone up significantly since that point. In the past 4 months we have gone up about 10% on our CS2 market cap, which seems like it's a very strong number until you realize I've gone up over 50% in that same time span. Just because the market cap is expanding and the game is getting larger doesn't mean you can't outperform it. There's a lot of opportunities, especially if your money's in the right places. Obviously, not every investment is going to be equivalent by any means, so it's very important that you understand the market before you start making major investments into it. The biggest piece of advice that I will say generally all across the board is things that you're buying at a very high price point are significantly harder to get a greater return in percentage-wise than usually if you're buying at a lower price point. Now, this isn't a difference between $1 and $2, it's a difference between $1 and $50 specifically in this instance. Skinland is today's sponsor, and if you're looking to sell your CS2 skins, they are the #1 spot. Now with Valve's latest update, you have to wait 7 days to go ahead and get your money, but with Skinland, you're going to be able to get the best rate possible with a $10 free bonus on your first trade. Now don't forget to use code MasterShiny for that bonus, and the best part about this is they are one of the first to bring this back, and they are the most safe option to sell your CS2 skins for cash. They've also got a massive marketplace if you're looking to pick up some CS2 skins as well, significantly cheaper than the Steam market. I sell on Skinland for the best rate, so don't wait. Now talking about what I specifically am buying, how I've been able to amass this amount, and first up it's going to be the case market. Now the case market is very important for one specific reason, and that's because we have commodities that are going down in supply but still increasing in demand. That's exactly what you want to look for. These right here are rare cases, and they are my hands down best opportunity for most people to make a significant amount of money, because if you want to look at them, they've got exactly what we want. We can see that the top line right there is the amount of cases unboxed every single day for one of these specific ones. The bottom blue line is the supply coming in. There's obviously a massive gap there, and that's exactly what we're profiting off of. Because people are opening up these cases and we're able to take advantage of that, we're going to be making significant profit on this specifically. It's a great opportunity, and as long as they stay rare cases, which they have always for the history of this game, you're going to be able to make a lot of profit long term with this specifically. I always look at these graphs right here. Obviously, almost all rare cases are in a deficit, but the amount they're in a deficit really is important. We can see a case like this, which is barely over its deficit, which is still going down, but just not a significant amount, and we can see that reflected in the price compared to something like your snakebite. Look over the past 6 months how it shot up in price, and we can see exactly why. Look at that deficit. It's absolutely massive, and therefore we are just running out of these cases. Same with the clutch case. These are the two cheapest rare cases at the moment, and they've shot up in price significantly over the past 6 months because of this specific thing right here. They're in such a deficit, the cases are running out, and people are still unboxing them at crazy rates. That's exactly what you want to make a huge opportunity for profit, and it's exactly what we're seeing right here. It's a great opportunity. Now when it comes to making significant profit with CS2 investing, the most important piece is looking for something that has an either decreasing supply or an increasing demand. When we're talking about the majority of items inside of this game, they're usually not getting deleted, and that makes it hard to make a ton of profit off of them unless we're seeing the demand skyrocket. Take for example an agent. Obviously no more agents are coming in, so we have to see an increase in demand for these prices to continually move up. Compare that to something like filler skins. These are skins right here that are used in trade-ups to help boost your odds, and they are subsequently deleted once you do that said trade-up. Right now, there is no more of these coming in. The supply is capped for these light blue filler skins specifically, and therefore, because we're seeing the demand increase or at least stay the same, and the supply is no longer coming in, we can see a massive opportunity that has taken place with these. Look over the past 6 months for these items right here. We knew this was coming. I made a lot of profit off of this specifically, and it's something that was not too hard to understand once they got removed. That's a huge opportunity, and these opportunities come up consistently inside of this area. It's not a one-off time. There are going to be more opportunities like this, and that's a huge place for you to make a lot of money. This is the most important piece right here. This is why we were able to outperform the overall CS2 market cap by 5x, because we focused in on the right items. By focusing in on items that had either a decreasing supply or an increasing demand, or possibly both, we were able to outperform it significantly instead of focusing in on these high-end items. Some of these items did go up 50%, and some of them went up 0%. It's a lot more volatile inside of that area because we don't know exactly what's going on. Now, CS2 investing is a constantly shifting sphere, and that's why it's also very important to sell off specific items. Some items I made a lot of profit with, and it's just time to cut them. One general area is going to be major capsules. Now, some major capsules have shot up in price significantly over the past couple of weeks, past couple of months. There's always going to be some that outperform the rest. With that being said, the rest has really outperformed nothing. The majority of these capsules have really seen little to no growth growth, and that's why we had to go ahead and sell off a fair amount of them. It's still an area that is theoretically a good investment because the supply is capped, but the demand has completely fallen off. If you hold them long enough, theoretically they should go up in price, but we're looking at the overall market right now and seeing the opportunity cost being absolutely massive. I could have gotten 50% or possibly even more on some of my case investments if I had sold off my capsules earlier and put that money into cases. It's not always going to be the most ideal situation where you have your money, but it's very important that you realize sometimes it is the better decision to sell, capture some of that profit, and just move on from a situation. Major capsules for me are generally in that area. Obviously, not all of them are the exact same, and it's very important that you look at the specifics of each item, but it's definitely not something that I'm making major investments massively anymore. They're just a little bit too overpopulated, and the demand has fallen off a lot more in recent times. Now, the second most important piece is avoiding the bad investments, and sometimes it can be very hard. If you want to look at something like an active duty case, we don't know exactly when it's going to get removed, and once it gets removed, it's almost guaranteed to shoot up in price. With that being said, it could be one day or it could be 5 years. You don't know, and in that time, is that case just going to stagnate in price? Well, then you probably don't want to make that investment if it's going to be the one that's going to be sitting there for 5 years. It's very important that you avoid the bad investments because you're not going to be making any money with them unless some specific event happens, and therefore I would definitely say active duty cases for me are a little bit too volatile unless you get them at a super low price point, which is not the prices we're seeing right now for the majority of them. It's also very important that you avoid hype-based investments. A lot of items shoot up in price instantly and then they drop back down significantly. It's not something that everything overnight is going to instantly shift for an item. You got to look at the fundamentals of why something is going up. If it's because of hype, honestly, it's probably not a good place to put your money, and therefore you're going to end up losing out on the good investments that were stable and consistently going up in price by trying to get in on this hype train right here. Now, being completely honest, CS2 investing is a risky atmosphere, and it's not risky because of the investments we're making. It's risky because this whole market is very dependent on Valve. Theoretically, they could destroy it tomorrow, which is a lot different than the majority of traditional investments, which is why we're making so much money in the meantime. And that's why I would highly suggest you don't go for risky investments inside of CS2 investing. You're already putting your money into a little bit more of a volatile asset than most people because CS2 investing does have its unknowns, but we can put a stable, opportunistic area inside of CS2 investing, make a lot of money that way, and we're still in a little bit of that risky atmosphere, but we're compensated for it significantly more than the risk inside of this area. And that's just because we're capitalizing off of people's tendencies to want to gamble, to want to put their money into dumb areas. We can make profit off of that, and it's what we've done time and time again, and that's why we're so well compensated for CS2 investing, because these areas are fundamentally strong and not everyone is really interested in making the slow investment that's going to be stable and it's going to be making you a ton of money. But that's all I got. Thanks so much for watching. Over the rest of your day.